Everybody, now I apologize if this blacks out or something like that, so I'm just letting you know ahead of time. But as you can see up there on the title, this is sort of an updated review of SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Now this came out on the last week of October last year, basically I think around the last Tuesday. I can't think of the date right now. And it was, and the thing was, when you purchased this, on the back of your manual, you had a code. Basically, I don't want anybody to use this code, but on the back here, you had a code on the back of your manual here. You see what I'm saying? So, well, if anybody does use the code, that's my fault, that's okay. But on the back of there, you had a manual, you had a code. On the back of the manual, you had a code which allowed you to get free online access. Now, me personally, I didn't know if it was there or not, and I had rented the game so many times from Blockbuster here in town, which unfortunately may be the last time I ever ran a SmackDown vs. Raw game from them, or any kind of game, because apparently that store is closing down now, so that's going to piss off a lot of people. But anyway, I got this from, of course I bought this at GameStop, so that was pretty cool. But this game, but when I rented it, I decided that instead of just waiting for the code, I was just going to purchase all the stuff. And I had the money at the time, so I purchased the free online access and stuff like that. So, that's what I did. Now, the one thing about the game when it came out was, when you got the free online access, you got a little bit of a downloadable pack, if you will. Sort of a downloadable pack. Basically, you got one of the downloadable characters. One of the first ones you got was the Masterpiece, Chris Masters. And I think the other one was Stone Cold, I'm not sure. But you got a few other things as well. Now, it's common for a video game, whether it's a wrestling game, a fighting game, a karaoke game, a rock band or whatever, it's common for them to have a downloadable pack right off the bat. Some kind of downloadable content for you to get right off the bat. However, most of the other times, they will always tell you that at a certain time during the year or during the following year, you're going to get more downloadable content to download into your game. Well, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is no different. Because in December of last year, we got the first DLC. We got the first DLC pack, or what was known as the second DLC pack, or whatever you want to call it. And I apologize for the bird. He likes to chirp when I make videos. I don't know why. But like I said, we got the first official downloadable pack, or DLC pack, or I guess as some people look at it as well, the second one, because I guess to many, the first DLC pack came when you purchased the game and you used the code, or you purchased the overall free online access. But again, that's that's how people looked at it. So in December, we got the first official downloadable content package, or second one, however you want to call it. And within this, we had alternate outfits, if you will. Alternate outfits for certain characters. We had some new characters and legends to download, like Lex Luger, British Bulldog, Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, David Otunga, as well as we had the NXT Arena. Now, this was, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this was the first time that any arena, I could be wrong, I gotta go back and probably Google it, maybe some of you can correct me on this. But this was the first time we ever had any kind of downloadable, any kind of arena to download. Now, like I said, I could be wrong, maybe I am, but as far as I know, it's the first time in probably a long time we've had one like that. So, like I said, I could be wrong. Again, correct me if you want. But again, it was the first time we ever had a downloadable arena. Now, that was all cool and everything. Everybody was happy to get these new characters and all that. And then, when we heard the third package, a third DLC package, or officially the second DLC package, was coming out the following year, in the early portion of this year, that is, we were all excited. Because, most of it was just alternative outfits, right? Alternative outfits for the characters. But the one thing everybody was looking forward to, because apparently this was added on because it's the 10-year anniversary, but the one thing everybody was looking forward to was the WCW Monday Nitro Arena. Now, in between this time, we also got an extra downloadable content, got some extra downloadable content in between. That downloadable content, of course, was Bret the Hitman Hart. Now, in case you don't know, when this game first came out, I think it was at Best Buy and some other places, that when you purchased this game, you ended up getting Bret the Hitman Hart as a downloadable character. So for anybody that purchased the game when it first came out, you were able to play as Bret Hart right off the bat. So, again, you were able to play as Bret Hart right off the bat, which was, again, pretty cool. Well, not pretty cool. I mean, you had to add in the code and everything, I think in the cheats area, just to play as him, but still, as a fan, but still, when you first bought this game back in October, that was pretty cool, because you were able to play as a character that unless you bought the game at Best Buy, no one else could play, or other areas, you couldn't play as. Now, again, that was in between both packs, so that was kind of like an appetizer for like I said, as many considered the third DLC pack, or officially the second DLC pack, which contained the alternate outfits of certain superstars, as well as the Monday Night Nitro Arena. Now, the alternate outfits that were for the characters were Cena's current purple outfit that he wears, purple t-shirt and jeans and hat. For CM Punk, the mask that he wore last year, and for The Undertaker, the American Badass. Now, that was all cool and everything, and along with the Monday Night Nitro Arena was all cool. Was definitely worth it. Worth downloading, and definitely worth it if you got the free online access. However, despite the goodness, if you will, that both DLC packs that came out in December and just this month alone, about 2 weeks ago, or over a week ago, I should say now, because it's Saturday, the 26th, and it was the 15th when this all came out, when the third pack came out. The only problem, because yes, there are some cons that come with the pros and the negatives that come with the pros. The only problem was the fact that not a lot of people liked the idea that these these downloadable contents were coming packaged, these DLC packs were coming out at the times that they were. You see, when THQ announced that the first official DLC pack with, like I said, with legends like Lex Luger, British Bulldog, core members Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, and new Nexus member David Otunga, when they said that these guys, when they said this pack was coming out, along with the NXT Arena, along with a few different outfits, when they said that this pack was coming out holiday 2010, everybody assumed that it was going to be in the early portion of December. That wasn't the case. What happened was it came out the Tuesday before Christmas. Now, some could understand that maybe this was a bit of an early Christmas gift from THQ to the fans. But some fans were kind of pissed off because they're like, well, wait a minute. You say holiday 2010, why don't you just say Christmas 2010? We get the idea. Again, THQ, to a lot of fans, that kind of pissed them off because they had to wait nearly up until Christmas just for this to come out. Now, I mean, just for the first official DLC pack to come out. The second in the minds and the eyes of many. But they had to wait till then. Now, again, majority of the fans at that time had no problem with it whatsoever. Some fans did, some fans didn't. Now, again, that was more acceptable because that was holiday, but it was more close to Christmas than maybe being like the first Tuesday of December or the second Tuesday of December or whatever. But that was more acceptable and that was more excusable. Now when it came to the third DLC pack, in the eyes of many, which officially was the second DLC pack, that included the alternate attires of the superstars that I mentioned, as well as the Nitro Arena, THQ told everybody that that would be released around early 2011. Now, obviously, the most logical sense is it's going to be released in January. Maybe the first Tuesday in February. But most logically, a lot of people would say it has to be January because that's early 2011. But for weeks, that wasn't the case. Now, some people say, well, we'll give it up until maybe the last Tuesday in January, or we'll give it up to the first Tuesday in February. And when nothing happened, people kept debating. Well, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? Is it coming out at this time? Is it coming out at that time? And when Bret Hart came out about a week or two before, you know, people were happy with it. People were happy with it, but they also thought at the time that Bret Hart came out, they'd probably see the third DLC pack. That didn't happen. Happened until February 15th. Now, a lot of fans, like I mentioned earlier, a majority of the fans that found the holiday 2010 release of the first official DLC pack, or the second in the eyes of many, you know, the majority of those fans, again, like I said, found that acceptable. They could understand it. But it was the same majority of fans, along with the fans that didn't find that holiday 2010 thing acceptable, that together they didn't find it acceptable at all. That when THQ said something like, oh, early December, or early 2011, I should say, early 2011, that to them, to THQ, early 2011 means what? The second, I can find a calendar here. The third Tuesday in the month. And again, some fans didn't find this acceptable, even those that, excused the fact that the holiday 2010 one was on the week of Christmas, and found that acceptable. Even they, from what I understand, didn't find this acceptable at all. Because, and I will admit, I was one of those fans that kept checking week after week, as we got even into this month, kept checking week after week of when it was going to come out. And when we heard news that it was going to be mid-February, I knew exactly. I just had a feeling. I knew exactly when it was going to happen. I said to myself, the most logical date it's going to be is the 15th, because the 15th of every month is the midway point. Because the 15th is the midway point of every month. So, anyway, when THQ said it was going to be mid-February, I just had a feeling it was going to be either, I just had a feeling it was going to be the 15th. Now, I thought to myself, well, it also could be the 22nd. But I knew logically the more sensible choice was the 15th. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew that. But again, even though we knew that, we still didn't, even though we knew that, there were still those fans out there that didn't find that acceptable. Now, some people may say, well, now some people will say, and I do agree, that maybe THQ was taking their time. Maybe they wanted to make sure everything was okay, everything was ready to go. Now, apparently the PS3 owners, from what we heard, got the third downloadable pack, or the second official downloadable pack, days before. And this was okay if you had a PS3, that was cool. And at least it gave those like me that owned a 360 an idea as to when we would have the third downloadable pack. And like I said, when we heard mid-February, that obviously made the most logical sense of a date would be the 15th. So there you go. But here's the thing that, again, pissed a lot of fans off. The fact that it wasn't, well, the fact that when THQ said early 2011, to them, they felt that THQ should have been something, it should have been something like, say, maybe the 1st, maybe the 8th, or maybe even the last Tuesday in January. That, to them, is early 2011, not mid-February, not mid-February. Now, if THQ, I will admit this, if THQ would have said, well, it's going to be in the first few months of, it's going to be around the first 2 to 3 months of 2011 that you'll see the next DLC pack, I would have been one of those fans that would have been like, hey, cool, we can deal with that, we understand. And that would give us at least a timeline, like between January and March, that we would know. Because if they would have said first 2 to 3 months, we would have had the idea. But again, the downloadable pack did not come out until February 15th. And like I said, the majority of fans that excused the fact that the first official downloadable pack, the second in the eyes of many, was released on the week of Christmas, they, along with the fans that didn't find that excusable, agreed that the whole mid-February deal wasn't excusable at all. Now here's another thing that pissed a lot of fans off, and as a matter of fact, it kind of ticks me off a little bit. When they released Bret Hart officially as a downloadable content, you would think that fans like myself that have the free online access would be able to get a free online access DLC of Bret Hart. But no. See, Bret Hart unless you had the free online access, well, unless you didn't have the free online access, was one of the many that you had to purchase. But if you had the free online access, like I did, and like many probably do, Bret Hart then was the only downloadable content you had to actually pay for. That's right. That's right. If you didn't have no Microsoft points in your account, or any PS3 points in your account, or PSN points in your account, you basically had to purchase the cheapest one you could think of just so that for 80 Microsoft points you could download Bret Hart. Which a lot of fans, including myself, have found to be bullshit. Because if you're going to have a character like Bret Hart officially become downloadable content, then you should make him part of the free access deal. Don't go out and say, okay, you may have the free online access and all these other downloadable packs and stuff may be free to you to download if you have that online access, but if you don't, then you're going to have to purchase everything individually. But if you do, then the only thing you're going to have to purchase then is Bret Hart. Now, I can understand that the reason they did this is because Bret Hart was an exclusive downloadable character when you purchased the game back in October. I can understand that. It was the same with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the previous game. But here's the difference though. Stone Cold was the only downloadable content for 2010. So far, if you count the downloadable content that came with the game when you punched in the code on the back of your manuals, alright, when you punched in the code on the back of your manuals to get that free online access, or even if you decided to do what I did, and that's just purchase the whole damn thing, okay, if you decided to do that, and then you combine that with the second DLC pack, or the first official one released after the game's been released, or outside of the game after it's been released, along with the third DLC pack, or officially the second DLC pack, and then you combine, you take a look at those three things together, that's 3 downloadable content packages together, 1 included in the game, and 2 that you had to purchase, you had to download outside of the game. In other words, after the game was released. But besides those 3, and you add in the fact that Bret Hart's the 4th part, that's 4 downloadable content deals together that you can download. But out of those 4, only Bret Hart's downloadable character cost you money, cost you points. And to me, that is bullshit. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree. I mean, if you're going to give people free online access, if you're going to give people this free online access, which, you know, which allows you, I mean, according to this, the free additional content, which many consider the first DLC pack of the game, but I guess according to THQ, not the official first DLC pack. I mean, on here you had Chris Masters, Kelly Kelly's Sexy Devil outfit. You had Rey Mysterio's Day of the Dead outfit. And if you count that package that came with the game when you would purchase the online, that came with the online access when you would purchase it, thus making it, in many's eyes, like I said, the first DLC pack. And then you download the free or purchase the second DLC pack, or the first official one to be released after the game's been released, along with the third one or the second one released after the game. You get the idea. And you look at that and you think, well, if I have the online access and I get these packages for free, these DLC packages for free, why can't I get Bret Hart for free? And again, I can understand that when the game first came out, that he was a downloadable, that he was an exclusive downloadable character. I can understand that. But come on, if you're going to advertise free online access that when you purchase it or enter the code for it, that it will allow people to have free downloadable content when it's available, you should also include that of the character, that even though they're exclusive, you should also include you should include all downloadable content, including those that are just exclusive to the game when it first comes out, when people buy it from certain locations. That's what you should do. You shouldn't say, oh, by the way, the only thing you're going to have to buy besides the online access, in case you don't have the code, the only other thing you're going to have to buy is this one downloadable character. That's bullshit. I mean, come on, do you think, honestly, if Rock Band, here's the thing, let's say the Rock Band, which is one of the most popular gaming sets out there for your system, for any system that you own, let's say they gave you downloadable packages, okay? They gave you, basically they do what they did. They give you free online access with a code, with the punch-in of a code, or the amount, or the payment of a certain amount of points. All right, and then they say all the songs you're going to download here, all the songs that, and they say that all the song packages that come out, you're going to be able to download for free. Oh, except for one. Wouldn't you be pissed off? Would you feel that that didn't make sense? Of course you would. But again, I can understand that the reason they did this is because Bret Hart was already available, but only to those that purchased the game at places like Best Buy and others that offered it. Now, the other thing that pissed a lot of fans off, and I kind of find this upsetting as well, is the fact that to them, some of these downloadable packages are a little dated when they're released. For example, the most recent one that came out on the 15th had one of the things that it had was CM Punk's mask that he wore late last year, even before he went to the Raw commentary table. So here's the thing, and this is the mask that he wore when he was on Smackdown. And here's what pisses a lot of fans off. They feel that this mask should have been added, this mask attire should have been added either at the beginning, as part of the free content when you purchase the online access, or part of the first DLC pack, not part of the second one. Because I feel that if you should have done anything to modernize CM Punk, is to modernize him with his new haircut. Okay, that is arguable, that is debatable, but I think I can answer that. You see, I'm not somebody that works at a place like THQ, but I think I can answer this. You see, when they were working on this game, and they were working on downloadable content, the only CM Punk alternate attire that they can work with at that time was apparently the Straight Edge Society mask. That's all they could work with. They couldn't work with anything else. Now another thing though, besides that, another thing that pissed a lot of fans off, and it's pissed me off, is when you download the alternate outfit for John Cena and The Undertaker. Here's the thing. When you download those, instead of having the alternate outfits as a part of the characters that are already there, ready for you to click on and select and play as, then instead, you got to go down to downloadable content, or basically down to the downloadable superstars section, and select them there. And when you select them there, they're not even announced by the names, which doesn't make sense. I don't know whoever did that was not paying attention to what they were doing, but to me it's stupid. Because if you can add Sheamus's new outfit, CM Punk's mask, Rey Mysterio's Dawn of the Dead, Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness outfit, which I think was included, was like Bret Hart, was kind of in between, but it was free, which I think was included like in the DLC pack 2, number 2, officially 1, in THQ's mind, or separately, but it was free. I mean, if you could do that, then why can't you do this with the others? Again, I don't know who was working on it, on this pack at the time, but apparently on this DLC pack, but apparently they weren't paying attention. On this recent DLC pack, but they weren't paying attention. Because, like I said, instead of having the alternate outfits added to the already playable characters, instead, you got to go to downloadable superstars and play them. Which is stupid. I mean, come on. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. Now like I said, I don't know if that's excusable. Now, I don't find that excusable, honestly, folks, I don't. And again, I don't know who's working on this DLC pack that just came out on the 15th, but apparently they weren't doing their job. They weren't. They weren't doing the job, they weren't paying attention. Because if they were paying attention, they would have realized, oh crap, we need to put the American Badass outfit, we need to add that to the Undertaker who's already playable. Same with the John Cena deal. And again, it just doesn't make sense. Now, another thing that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a problem with, is when you create a character, either it's a creator wrestler or creator diva, when you make one of those, most of the time, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the community creations, which a lot of people have had problems with quite some time, when you go to the community creations and you want to upload this character for people to download and for people to download as their own, to download and play with as their own, you know, most of the time you can do that. However, many of you may have noticed that when you create a character and you look at this character and you say to yourself, this is the kind of character everybody's going to want to play as, and then when you try to upload it, you find out you can't. Because then you'll get this, because when you find out you can't, you'll get this message that says, can't upload because it's got downloadable content. You know, that's the one thing I think that needs to be fixed in the upcoming game in 2012. They need to basically fix that. I mean, they took they took a step in the right direction by allowing fans, by allowing fellow gamers and fans to download everybody else's creations, and this time be able to make their own altercations, give them their own music, you know, whatever. Get what I'm saying? But the next step they need to do is to allow fans to upload the community creations, allow the created characters or divas to the community curation section that even use downloadable content. So in other words, instead of just saying, oh, the only created characters and divas you could upload are the ones without downloadable, are the ones that don't use downloadable content or don't have downloadable content on them. What they need to do for the next step next year is to allow those people to upload the created characters along, that even include the downloadable content that's a part of, that they added to, that they made a part of the character, whether it's the move set or the outfit. That's what they need to do. That's what they need to do, because I have a few characters myself, a few created characters myself that I know fans would like, and they've seen them on my YT channel here, and I know that they would love to probably play those guys. But again, this is something they need to work on for the next release for SmackDown vs. Raw 2012. They need to work on it. They need to work on it to the point that once next year's game comes out, or this year's game comes out in the fall, that at least they'll be like, okay, we fixed the problem, everything's fine. Okay. But again, they need to work on that. Another thing they need to work on too is, the WWE Universe mode is great and all. It's great to have. But honestly, do you seriously have to have, seriously, do you have to have a defunct championship, a retired championship, just to, in your possession, just so you could defend a current championship? Do you have to have that? A thing they need to work on next year is to reinstate the ability to download a current championship without having to use or without having to possess a defunct championship. Okay? That's what they need to do. Another thing as well, if you really want to please the fans, you want to give them what they want, give them the Create a Belt deal again. Give them the Created Championship deal again. Take what fans feel is not necessary out of the game and give them the Created Championship deal again. Give them that. That's what I would do. So, but overall, getting back to what I was saying about the DLC packs, they live up to what they say. They live up to what they say, but like I mentioned, they live up to what they say, but like I mentioned, the only problem is, in the eyes of many, they came out at times that many consider either late or unexcusable. And in the case, like I said, of this most recent DLC pack, it's unexcusable. And the only other problem, like I said, besides that, is the fact that if you're going to download, if you're going to add as part of your DLC pack alternative outfits for superstars, then don't make those superstars that have then basically what you need to do is just add them to the other outfits of the already playable versions of those characters, or those superstars or wrestlers or whatever, instead of putting them as a part, instead of making them just downloadable superstars, because it doesn't make sense. And one other thing, if THQ, the one thing I will say that they did good this year is they added the ability of downloadable arenas. They added the downloadable arenas of NXT and Nitro. Next year, add that in, include that again, along with the downloadable wrestlers and divas and outfits and all that, but also include some of the pay-per-view arenas from ECW and WCW. Add some of those. And I guarantee you fans will like it. In fact, add some retro. In fact, WWE went old school this year, right? Last year, right, on Raw. Add an old school Raw and Smackdown arena for downloadable content. People will like that. Give them that nostalgic feeling. Add in the old school Thunder arena. And again, like I said, add in some ECW, WCW pay-per-view arenas. But overall, besides some of those problems that I talked about, the DLC packs do live up to the potential. They do live up to what people say they are. The Nitro arena is great to play in. So is the NXT arena. Lex Luger, Rich Bulldog, the core and Nexus members, all live up to what the DLC packs have described, what people have described them as. Describe the DLC packs to be as. So that's all I'm going to say. Tell me what you guys think, and I'm out.